The Silva Mind Control Method. Chapter 14. How to Help Others with Mind Control. Detecting illnesses in persons you have never seen is astonishing enough, but we never let it go at that. Into the bodies where we project our awareness, we also project healing. Obviously, there is an energy involved in mental projection, an energy aimed by the intentions of our minds. Change these intentions from information gathering to healing, and we change what the energy does. How do we link our intentions to this energy so that it accomplishes what we want? The intention alone, in its pure form, is something like the will. As I said in the chapter on habit control, the will alone is of very little use. Just as we detect abnormalities by visualizing them, we visualize conditions as we want them to be, without the abnormalities. This is psychic healing. It's as simple as that. For most of the healing that you will want to do, it will not be necessary to master the technique of working cases. You can become an effective psychic healer simply by using your mental screen as you do in problem solving. In fact, even if you are in the early stages of meditation and visualization, you may still achieve some effective results. Many of life's possibilities hang in a precarious balance. One little push and you can tip this balance your way. Sometimes, of course, the balance is already tipped and it takes a more accomplished psychic, which you will become, to tip H back. If you wait until you are as effective at mind control as you would like to be before you begin psychic healing, you will waste priceless opportunities to provide needed help. I began healing work long before I had developed mind control, and in fact long before I had an organized methodology for healing. I tried one method after another, with varying results. The important thing is that I did not wait, and a significant number of healings did take place, enough, in fact, that I developed a certain renown as a healer in my area of the US-Mexican border. Many thought I had special gifts or unusual powers, but I had simply read and experimented until I got the hang of it. One of my early healings shows how different my methods used to be. In 1959, I heard about a parish priest near Laredo who had suffered for 15 years from a painful swelling of the knees. He was often confined to bed. The pain and confinement were not all that troubled the priest. He was unable to kneel at moments in the celebration of the Mass when kneeling is called for. The Archbishop had granted him a dispensation, but no dispensation could free the poor man from the feeling that he was compromising a sacred ritual. I went to see him. "I think I can help you," I said. "I am no doctor, but for the past 12 years I have been working on parapsychology, and we have obtained results much like those of faith healing, with which you are familiar." As soon as I said the words, "results much like those of faith healing," the priest became more concerned for me than for himself. Parapsychology? I have never heard of such a science. I trust you are not getting into anything of which our holy church would disapprove. I explained, as best I could, some of the principles of parapsychology I had learned and how healings can be triggered. Nothing that I said seemed to mesh with this man's theology. He promised to look into it further and perhaps call me sometime soon. The look of compassion on his face and the sound of disbelief in his voice gave me no hope at all that I would hear from him again. I knew, though, that he would pray for my protection from dangers so serious in his mind that they dwarfed even his own plight. I did hear from the priest a month later and once again sat by his bedside. "Jose, as you know, The Lord leads us in strange ways. A few days after your visit, I received a circular reviewing a book written by one of the brothers in our order. I found a whole chapter devoted to this parapsychology you were explaining to me the other day. Now I understand this a little better, and I am willing to let you try your work on me. I sat with him for over an hour and spoke of my reading and some of the work I had done. The longer I remained, the more I liked the man. Finally, he grew tired and it was time to leave. "All right then," he said, "when shall we start the treatment?" "Father, it has already started. But I don't understand. This thing is mental, Father, and while we were talking, I have done the initial work. I did the rest of the work at home that night. The next morning, the priest was on the telephone and with surprise and joy in his voice reported Matt a great improvement had taken place during the night. 3 days after my visit, he could walk and kneel, and he has never since experienced discomfort in his knees. A miracle? No, a purely natural phenomenon. Here is how I did it. During the more than an hour chat, we were both alert and relaxed, two conditions helpful in healing. The subjects we discussed gave him added confidence in parapsychology. In psychic work, confidence is as important as faith is in religion. Meanwhile, I began to visualize him in better health and, just as important, learn to like him more and more. Love is a tremendous power. I wanted that on our side, too. I did one more thing in preparation for what I would later do that night. To help visualize him later, I studied the priest, his face, the feel of his handshake, his various expressions and mannerisms, the sound of his voice, the overall feeling of being in his presence. This was the initial work. Several hours later, when the priest was asleep and I was back home, I did the rest of the job. What I did was totally different from what I do now. I had learned that psychic energies are transferred most effectively when survival is at stake, as I mentioned in the last chapter. Instead of going to my level, as I would today, I held my breath while picturing the priest in perfect health. Long minutes went by, until my body screamed for breath. Still I held on to my image of the priest in perfect health. Meanwhile, my brain, in a sort of psychic scream, cried out, and the energy of the scream carried the carefully held image of perfect health exactly where it was supposed to go. Finally, I breathed, convinced the job was done, and it was. The method I teach and use today is much easier on the operator and just as effective. Simply learn to use the mental screen vividly, with confidence. Let me outline the procedure for you, step by step. 1. It is helpful, though not necessary, to know the condition of the person you are about to heal. You can learn this psychically or objectively, it does not matter. 2. Go to your meditative level and project this person onto your mental screen as he is, with whatever ailment is troubling him. Place another image on the screen to the left, showing something being done to correct the problem. If you have not met the person and are not yet ready for casework, try to learn beforehand what he looks like to make your visualization as accurate as possible. 3. Now project onto the screen, still farther left, a vivid image of the person in perfect health, filled with energy and optimism. In deep meditation, you are acutely receptive to what you say to yourself. This particular moment is crucial to developing a conviction that the happy image you now have of the person is the real one. Not that it is becoming real or that it will be real, but that it is real. The reason for this is that at this meditative level, at alpha and theta, your mind is in league with causes. At beta, it deals more with results. By visualizing with conviction in alpha and theta, you are causing. Never mind what you seem to be doing to time by substituting is for will be. Time is something else at this level. Visualize the results you want as being already achieved. Among the laws of the universe, there seems to be a sort of cosmic bill of rights which guarantees that all of us, no matter how high or low, no matter how bright or dull, can take part in causing lawful things to happen through the firmness of our desire, belief, and expectancy. This was said earlier, and better, almost 2,000 years ago, as reported by Mark in the New Testament. What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall receive them. While you visualize this person in perfect health, there will come an instant, a very pleasant one, when you know that you have done enough. It is pleasant because it is a feeling of accomplishment. Count yourself out to beta, 1 to 5, feeling wide awake and better than before. The more you practice this technique, the more beautiful coincidences will occur and the more firm will be your belief, which in turn will produce even more beautiful coincidences. As soon as you learn to use your mental screen, you can begin to spark this chain reaction. While the techniques of faith and psychic healing may be different, I believe their principles and results are the same. Rituals of faith healing differ from one culture to another, but they have the same twofold effect: to induce a deeper level of mind, and to buttress belief and expectation. Many healers use methods which exhaust them. They are drained of energy and sometimes lose weight in a single sitting. This is not necessary. In fact, mind control methods have the opposite effect. Once we sense that feeling of accomplishment, we experience a lift, not a subtle one. It is quite strong, and we do awaken, feeling better than before. Healing others, we find, is good for the healer. Many healers believe they cannot heal themselves. Some feel that if they even try this, they will lose their power. We have proved this to be untrue, over and over. Many also believe they must be in the presence of the person they are healing for the laying on of hands. For those of us who are not licensed physicians or officials of recognized churches, this is illegal. More important in terms of larger laws, it is unnecessary. Absent healing works. In discussing this in mind control classes, we often cite the case of the centurion's servant whom Christ healed at a distance. Christ did not see the servant, only the centurion who told him of the problem. And his servant was healed in the self-same hour. One small observation. Notice that in our folklore, when we make a wish, with a wishbone, or when we see a star fall, or when we blow out birthday candles, we are admonished not to reveal our wish. This secrecy is probably more than mere child's play. I think there is some wisdom behind it. Keeping our wish, or, more to the point, our visualization of a healing, bottled up in secrecy, seems a way to avoid dissipating its energy, maybe even to add to its energy. For this reason, I and many of our lecturers advise students to keep their healing work to themselves. When Christ said after one of his healings, "See that no man know of it," he was not asking for a cover-up. His reasons were deeper.